not talk about family when family's all that we got. Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you gon' be with me for the last ride.
Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 15, Fast and Furious, number 4, from 2009, Lap 2. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe 2, and this episode is brought to you by British Petroleum. BP is one of the world's leading integrated oil and gas companies. They provide customers with fuel for transportation, energy for heat and light, lubricants to keep engines moving, and the petrochemicals products used to make everyday items as diverse as paints, clothes, and packaging.
Shout out BP.
Yeah, I thought British Petroleum was a good sponsor today because...
The Jack the Oil tankers in the beginning of the movie?
That, one, and two, we're going to have Liam and Ellie on today.
It's true. Also, I was wondering why they sponsored today because, in Fast and Furious 6, it's in Britain. You know what I mean? Like, it sort of makes sense for British Petroleum to sponsor that one. But now I get it. You reached out. You said, hey,
look, we got
some oil, there's some gas tankers early on. We got some special guests today.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Makes absolute total sense to me. I like it a lot. Thank you. Shout out British Petroleum.
Did you get your gas gift card in the mail?
I did get my gas gift card. I was expecting, when you said that, we have this sponsor, I was expecting, because I'm a dumb person, I was expecting, actual cans of gas to show up, and then when I got just, this little envelope in the mail, I was like, oh, this makes way more sense.
Yeah, I don't think you can send gas in the mail.
You probably... So here's the thing, this has nothing to do with, what we're talking about, but I have a SodaStream, and I had a canister that was, not... it sounded like it was carbonating, but it wasn't actually carbonating, and so I called them up, and they were like, oh, cool, no problem, we'll send you another one, which I was like, oh... I could be scamming. I'm like, I'm not, but I could be scamming you, whatever. And I was like, do you want me to send the one back? She's like, oh, no, you can't mail that in the mail. I was like, oh, but they have the permission to mail in the mail. You know what I mean? So
I have
if
dangerous
British
shipping
Petroleum
goods
wanted to
at work because we send biological samples and stuff. So I'm allowed to send biologicals, not explosives or pressurized stuff, but I can send, I
guess there's different clearances, right?
Yeah, there's different levels of it.
That's my long way of saying I'm sure BP could send gas if they wanted to, but I don't know if they actually want to. A gift card is totally fine.
Yes.
So, like we mentioned, we have guests coming up a little bit later. We have Liam and Ellie from the Nerd on Nerd podcast. We were on their show, was it a year ago, maybe?
It was about a year ago, I would say, yeah.
It was in the time window between... when I moved out of my apartment and when I bought my house, because I remember I recorded that episode from my parents' house.
Okay.
It was around the Derby Stallion time when Liam was on for Zack Attack. Liam has since been on... What episode was he on? Oh, Step Up 2, The Streets, obviously, of course. Oh, no, he wasn't on the Derby Stallion. He was on our Sharpay 2 episode. We found him because of the Derby Stallion.
Yep.
Long history with us and Liam. The Nerd on Nerd podcast, great show. Check that out. But they will be on a little bit later. Before we get there, we have our customary pre-break things. We've got some news. Not news about the movies, not news about the actors, news about our show.
News about us. Some Joe's news.
So the most exciting thing is, this is something that we've been sort of teasing for a while. We said it was going to happen way later. We are bumping this up in terms of frequency. We are now going to start releasing podcasts every 2 weeks, every other Tuesday. So this episode is the last one on our monthly cycle. So this is November 1st, this one comes out. Next Tuesday, the 6th, our next episode will come out. So it's a couple back-to-back real quick, and then every 2 weeks after that, we will have a new movie. And the other thing, the important thing to note about this, we are not staggering, at least for now, not staggering the movies with pit stops. They're going to be just boom, 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 all Fast and Furious, at least through the end of Lap 3 when Mike comes for the ride-along.
The ride-along,
Mike Manson.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I like watching them, as we've talked about and posted before. I watch them when they're on TV anyways. So it's going to be fun to speed it up a little bit. Hit some NAS, go boosting, and we're gonna go a little faster now.
And I'm not sure how much of a crossover audience we have between this and our two other podcasts, the Magic Mike's podcast and the Boy from Montreal podcast. We've talked about on both of those shows that we are going to bump those down to once every 3 months. So if you listen to those, you've probably already heard this message. If you don't listen to those and wanted to check those out, they will still live on. There's going to be every 3 months, January, April, July, and October, with the 11 episodes of each that we have so far, living on in perpetuity on our feeds. So the reason we're doing Tuesday, I don't know if this is, we don't have to necessarily talk about this, but Joe Tuesday just sort of made sense to my brain.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's for sure.
So that's that. So that's cool. So November 6th, Tuesday, November 6th, we will have our next episode, Fast 5, with Walt Hickey, formerly of 538.
Which I'm really excited about, too.
News. It's going to be a really good episode. He was on one of our Cage Clubs. He was great. But then every 2 weeks after that, including when we do our relap recap, that will be one of those 2-week episodes too. So all good things here for Too Fast, Too Forever. The other big thing is we are now on Spotify. I don't know how you listen to this. You can listen at cageclub.me, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher. You can now check it out on Spotify too. So however you want to listen, we're trying to make it as convenient as possible for you to listen to us. Go do that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to that podcast. Maybe you just found it.
They had to find it somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, maybe somebody told you to listen to it on Apple Podcasts. You're like, I hate this. I'd rather listen somewhere else. Go check it out on Spotify.
You have every option for your listening pleasure.
Another quick little bit of news. We are taking a temporary hiatus on our Instagram. So if you noticed that went away, that is just because I struggled to come up with pictures to post there. So instead of making us look inattentive, putting it on the back burner, that will be back at some point, I think. But for now,
that
on
works.
Hiatus.
Yeah,
so
no big deal.
Just a quick little bit of note. Okay, so before we get to extracurricular activities, there are 3 things we want to talk about. 2 things, well, like, one thing you want to talk about, one thing I want to talk about or mention real quick,
What?
and then one thing that we've talked about, but I don't think we talked about that we're going to mention here. First thing, the one that we sort of both know about, you posted on our Facebook page, Too Fast, Too Forever, the video, I think, from the official Fast and Furious channel about, like, the villains, the enemies in the series, right?
Yes.
And you were like, this sounds like something that we did on the podcast not too long ago. And I was thinking, I don't think this is the case because I think we're still too little, but I don't think it's insane to think that if your job was to run social media for a Fast and Furious, like, millions and millions of liked fan page, you would probably do a little due diligence and, like, see what else is out there and try to draw inspiration from things.
So
I don't think it's crazy
it?
to think. I don't think this happened, but I don't think it's crazy to think that they came across our podcast and listened and then ripped off from us. I don't think that happened. I just think it's not crazy to think that did happen.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? It was very weirdly timed, right?
Yeah, because we talked about that on the Too Fast, Too Furious episode when Brian Rodriguez of the High School Supper Party came and we were talking about the villains there. So that was, a month and a half maybe before this post went up. So not crazy to think, I don't think.
Who knows? Maybe we're slowly inspiring the world. Who knows?
I hope so.
I would like to think so.
Another really quick thing is that I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon 4 lately, and the only reason I bring that up here, aside from the fact that it's car-related, is because this whole game is set in the UK.
Oh.
And so what better time to talk about it than when our guests are from the UK, Liam and Ellie, coming up a little bit later. So
Amen.
I didn't even think about like the timeliness, the relation, the interrelation between our guests in the game, but there we go.
Exactly. That's cool. I didn't know it was set in the UK.
The last thing I want to talk about before we get to extracurricular activities, you told me last night that you were talking to a friend of yours and you had an idea
I don't know
what Fast and Furious 9, the plot of the story could be.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this out there because I don't know Ellie and Liam's like exposure to these. I don't know if they've seen all of them, so I don't want to like ruin anything, so now's a good time to talk about it. We were talking at lunch and we were saying the only way that we can go up from here is like, Fast and Furious is always trying to one-up each other, right? Like it's just trying to get bigger and wackier. So we said that we did a person becomes evil and then becomes the family, right? That's like Gal Gadot. We have like
that's everybody, yeah.
Everybody. Then we had
Statham.
Letty leave the family and come back against the family. Then in the last one,
she leaves in this movie and comes back in 6, yeah.
Yeah, and then we had Dom have to fight against the family, which is like that's like top tier. Like nobody can fight against the family anymore. That's like in the family, right? Like it can't happen. So we said the only thing that can happen now is they have to have an evil Dom twin brother that fights the family. And it's Dom playing 2 people. Vin Diesel plays 2 characters, and he has to fight himself.
I feel like that is too close to 8.
It is? You think?
Like, I think it's not Dom against the family, but it still feels like Dom against the family.
But it's like the only person. It's like, when in Legend, in like Ocarina of Time, when you had to fight like, what was it, like Shadow Link or Mirror Link or whatever? Yeah, it'll be like that.
Like, I like the idea, I just think that they wouldn't. I think it's too close to 8.
Well, we already had Letty do it. We were just saying, like, how can they one-up it? And this was an idea that we had, that we were like, like somebody has to play 2 characters at some point. There has to be somebody that plays both sides as the same person. And we've started out, we were like, maybe Tej, there's like an evil Tej that is like his twin brother Tej, or like, this. We were trying to figure out how we would do that.
I'm trying to think who would be a better thing. I also think that sort of veers into a world of like not really magic, but kind of magic, or kind of like surreal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who would be. I guess if that were to happen, it would have to be Dom.
Right? That's what I thought too. But this plays into the thing that we said. I think we mentioned it, and this was like the second part of my thought. I think we said it on the documentary episode, the I Am Paul Walker episode. We need Paul Walker's brother in the movies, right? So,
As Brian, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. He could come in as Paul Walker's evil brother.
Oh, okay.
And do that too.
Well, and that also would play into what we talked about on the Watch the Throne episode, and a bit on our Fate and the Furious episode, where we were talking about how there's this theory going around that doesn't seem as plausible as others, but maybe it is, that Cypher and Brian are brother and sister. And so that would also bring another family element there.
Okay,
if we have Cypher and a brother together.
Makes sense.
I just think at this point, if there is, and I hope there are more, we all hope that there are more, but if there are only going to be 10 movies in the main franchise, right? I think with 2 to go, I don't see them breaking up the family anymore. I think it's going to be family verse. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
That's
it's
what I'm
going to
saying.
be them against external bad guys. But, I feel like that idea, it could work. I just wonder if it's too close in weird ways to what they've already done, especially in 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 6.
Yeah, I'm curious
Well, yeah.
though, because I don't know how they're gonna top 8. Dom
Sure.
versus the Family's like peak. Like I can't imagine it getting any wackier. So
Well, what do you, the listener, think of that? Email us, family@cageclub.me. Let us know what you think. So either what you think of the idea, who could turn evil, or if you have a better idea or different idea for number 9, let us know. We'd be happy to read them on air.
yeah, definitely.
Now, before we get to the mailbag, which I just referenced, we do have a segment called Extracurricular Activities, which is what's been going on. I feel like this segment, now that we're going bi-weekly, is going to be less, not impactful, but sometimes it'll be like, oh, I just didn't do anything for the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I feel like with
always
a
kinda
month
do
in
something.
between, things always happen. But I've done a couple different things. Number 1, I won my fantasy baseball league, which I talked about on here a bunch.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations.
closing the book on that one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also went to a roller derby match with Brian Rodriguez, who was on our Too Fast, Too Furious episode. We went to see a women's indoor, I think they're all indoor, women's indoor roller derby match.
I actually saw an
in
outdoor
Yonkers. You saw an outdoor one?
Yeah, in Providence, Rhode Island, I saw an outdoor
Very
roller
cool.
derby. Yeah.
So this was awesome. It was a lot of fun. He had one of the women in the league on his show as a guest, and she invited us and comped him and got us discounted tickets, and
That's
so we
cool.
all went there and had a good time. That was fun. And then the only other thing really of note that I've done the last month is I've gone to a couple Halloween parties. There's one tonight that I'm thinking about going to with Chris Podcast from our last episode, from our Tokyo Drift episode. So,
Nice.
I mean, there's a lot of family-related things going on in my life since we last recorded. Nothing spectacular. I didn't buy a house. I didn't take a fancy trip, but things going on. Oh, I think I also went to. No, we talked about. I went to Austin.
Yeah.
We talked about that last time because we talked about it with Wes.
Yep.
So what have you been up to since in the last month or so?
The main fun thing that I did is that that I'm a big hockey fan, and hockey season has started.
Yep.
And so I hit my first Penguins game of the year. I went to Montreal. Rachel and I drove up, what was it, like last weekend or 2 weekends ago?
I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
I think it was 2 weekends ago, yeah. And we drove up to Montreal, just stayed Friday and Saturday, went to the game, had some great seats. The arena's like really, really strange though. It only had like 3 bathrooms on the concourse level. It was so weird. Like, have you ever...
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this. Yeah.
They were huge, but like normally I'm used to like American arenas, and there's usually like a bathroom like every section or 2. You know what I mean? And this was like, no, there was just like two that we found huge ones. I'm assuming that there was a third one because there was like kind of like 2 on one side, and they were just like very, very far apart. So like when anything would end, like the period would end, you would just like have this mass exodus for the bathrooms with like thousands of people.
Right.
It was really strange. But the arena was cool. Food was good. Penguins lost in a shootout. That sucks, but they're doing good now, so hopefully they continue to do well. Yeah, I think that was my only main...
Do you have any other new stadiums or new hockey cities that you want to hit this year that you are either loosely or firmly planning?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do Ottawa soon, There's like a game like right before Thanksgiving. I think I might do Ottawa, and I'm gonna maybe go visit a friend and do Tampa because they're playing on a Saturday. With Rachel's work schedule, we have to do like weekend ones this year.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out like which ones will be the best. I want to do this like 2 game. There's a 2 game California stand in January that like it's like Friday night and Saturday in like Anaheim and Los Angeles, and I want to do that one. But
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Oh, did you hear today? No, tomorrow, as we're recording this, Sunday the 28th, Los Angeles will be the first city in the history of sports. One city, Los Angeles, will host professional sports games for all four sports. So they'll have a Dodgers game, they'll host a Clippers game, they'll host a Kings game, and they have a Rams game, I believe. And also, the Los Angeles Galaxy, the MLS team, is also playing there too.
Wow.
And so there's going to be
That's
5.
crazy.
And so I have a friend at Sports Illustrated, and he said that he's not going, but they're sending 2 writers to go to all 5 games
Oh, I'm so jealous.
that
That would
day
be like
and
the
doing
coolest
like a
thing
video
ever.
blog. I know, right?
Yeah, that would be like the most fun day. You'd like I wonder what the timing's like.
Well, the Dodgers is probably like a 5:30 start. The Rams will be like a 1 o'clock start. I don't know.
Rams can't be a 1 o'clock start because the 1 o'clock start here is like a 4 o'clock. I mean like
No, it's 1 o'clock out there because it'll be a 4 o'clock.
okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm guessing
That makes
they're
sense.
they're probably going to go to the World Series, and then the game, like the basketball game, might be like at a 7 o'clock out there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they're only going to like. I wonder what they're going to spend the most time at. I don't know, but look for that on Sports Illustrated probably in about a week and a half or 2 weeks. So go check that out.
Amen.
Again, my friend's not working on it, but I think it's a really cool idea, and I am super jealous.
Yeah,
of
same. I'm
all
super
of
jealous
that.
too.
Any other extracurricular activities or
No, none that I can think of. That was my big news.
Our next segment is the mailbag, which you can email us, family@cageclub.me. We have a couple emails today. We have one from this guy, Adam Taylor, who didn't really write in yet. He is a new fan, so shout out Adam Taylor. He was having difficulty. His podcast app was not finding our latest episode, and so
I remember this,
gave him a
right?
line. But yeah,
Yeah.
he's been binging these, so shout out Adam if you want to write in, family@cageclub.me. Let us know what you think of the movies, of the shows, of whatever you want to do.
Rankings of bad guys, whatever you
Exactly.
want to talk about. Yeah.
Speaking of rankings, we got a tweet the other day from Jake Keel at fake Jake Keel on Twitter, and he tweeted at Cage Club Pod, which is where we are. This show is not on Twitter, but our network is. He said, recently found Too Fast, Too Forever, and the argument about having a race where everyone bets 3,500. This is in Too Fast, Too Furious, is the opening
Yeah.
where Suki is racing. The argument about having a race where everyone bets 3,500 is wrong. Most street races are between 2 drivers, and most is for a $2,000 or $3,000 period. So to have 4 drivers each put in $3,500 is a big deal. He said the winner would walk with $10K.
Yeah.
And I said, very good point.
We had no idea. That's how we were talking about it. We were like very
Exactly.
curious. Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if any real-world races, though, would involve jumping an elevated bridge and absolutely demolishing the underside of your car. Then again, that's why we love these movies. Thanks for listening and writing. We'll discuss this in the next episode. And then he was talking about absolutely not. Usually they're just 10-second drag races, which, getting a couple grand for 10 seconds, like, that's not bad.
Yeah, but I mean, like, then you just have to put that money back into your car to win more races, so...
He said he's been listening, and I told him to write in with his rankings, because he said that Too Fast, Too Furious is his favorite in the series. I was like, whoa, that's a real hot take, but
Yeah.
we would love to see and talk about your rankings. So he emailed in Fast and Furious rankings.
Okay.
Number
What does he
8. We signs this from a man who has nitrous oxide in his blood and a gas tank for a brain, so this guy gets it.
He's family.
Number 8, Fate of the Furious. Only reason I like this movie is Tej and Roman. Love their banter. The rest of the movie is very bland to me, even though I like it more than other movies because it's these characters that I love. Which, yeah, like,
We said that, yeah.
as critical as I am of these movies, I still like these more than most movies just because I love this world, I love these characters, I love the actors.
Yeah, agreed.
Number 7, Fast 6, which is another
World's
hot take.
Longest
This
Runway.
one, World's Longest Runway. This is one that, was my favorite in the series. That's one of your favorites. Collectively, when we aggregated them all, like our favorite movie. He said, good movie, but mostly forgettable for me due to the villain not being the best, which is fair. It is the lesser Shaw brother, right? That is... Yeah. Owen Shaw. Number 6, Fast and Furious. Number 4, the one we're talking about today. He said, last one of the series that's kind of grounded, and it's a good story.
Yeah, true.
Number 5, Tokyo Drift. Love the side note of the series in which its characters were brought back a little bit more to later entries, which absolutely.
Bring back Twinkie. We want him back. I agree.
Furious 7, number 4. Solid heist movie. Action is great. Love Kurt Russell's character, and the end has me crying like a baby. Agreed on all fronts. Number 3, The Fast and Furious, the OG one, really got car culture and made it mainstream again. which I think you talked about then when we talked about it the first lap or maybe even the second lap.
Yeah.
Number 2, Fast 5. This movie brought the series to a whole new level. True.
Yeah.
And number 1, Too Fast, Too Furious. First one I saw in theaters. And even though I know it's the worst, it's the one I enjoy the most.
That's fair. Yeah, we talk about this is why when we ever have guests, I always ask them like, what is this movie to you? When did you first see it? How did you first see it? Because I think that like that nostalgia has a huge factor in them. So
I'm interested to hear about Liam and Ellie. Literally all I know about their experience with this is that Liam has a box set of the first like 6 or 7. Like that's all I know. Like I don't know if he likes these. I think he does, but we'll find out.
We're about to find out very soon.
We have one more email before we're going to go to a break. This is from Jess Collins.
Montez.
Who I don't think has written in too often to the family email.
She wrote in to say like something about she's like a gearhead. Like her dad was a...
Oh, her dad. Yes. I was just going to say that she's written into the other shows because she sent this email to Boy from Material, Zack Attack, Family, and Magic Mike. So she's spreading the love across the board. She says, I will never forget you. She says, I'm listening and not taking notes, but I'm still here, quietly loving all the Cage Club family from afar. I promise I'll go back and rank your fire-ass titles very, very soon, which is a show or a game that we played on the other 3 episodes, the other 3 shows. Not on this one. Montez is here. She's still listening. Shout out Montez.
Thanks, Jess. Good to hear from you.
And then she put in a gif of Ryan Gosling not eating his cereal, and then she says, heart forever, Montez. So, shout out Montez. Thank you for writing in. Again, if anyone out there wants to write in, family@cageclub.me. We will read them on air. We will read whatever you send on air right here at the top of the show. Get internet famous for a day. Don't even have to listen to the whole episode. Just write in. We will read it on air. Family@cageclub.me. On the streets, our roundup wrap-up of what's going on in the movies and the actors' worlds. The only thing I can think of in the last month is that The Rock has been training like a motherfucker, getting ready for Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh my god, I know.
And looks like a monster.
Cheat days and these cheat day meals, he's like, my cheat day, 17 chocolate chip cookies with peanut butter in between them, and it's like 3 a.m. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And
it works. I mean, he looks incredible. Team Hobbs. I love The Rock. We talked about... so unrelated to this show, but How Did This Get Made just did Action Jackson, which is a Carl Weathers movie from the 80s, which is great. On that episode, they had Seth Rogen as a guest, and Seth Rogen talked about how Action Jackson, that movie, is kind of like The Rock in a lot of movies, where he's like asexual, which we talked about on this. You know,
yeah,
like,
we did.
He doesn't objectify women, but he also has no interest in like consensually, like appreciatively complimenting women. He's just like, I'm here for business. This is a job. You know, even his characters all sort of feel like that way. So it was just weird to hear Seth Rogen talk about something that we've talked about in a different context, but about how The Rock, there could be like a twist in terms of like, maybe his character's gay, who knows? Or maybe he's just asexual, maybe he just has no interest in Ramsey, in any of the soccer moms of Fate of Furies, in whoever. He's just here to do business.
Amen. On a little segue note, I have an appropriate tidbit of On the Streets today, and it's Gal Gadot, her secret recipe, or her secret diet, I'm going to butcher this, it's shakushka, and it's like this Israeli kind of like paella looking thing with like eggs and like cheese, and she says like this is what she eats to stay looking so good. So as The Rock's eating 500 cookies, she's eating, you know, onions, peppers, chili, tomatoes, eggs, and olive oil, and it's just like a kind of like a hash type thing.
Well, to be fair, they're going for slightly different body types, but
just a little bit,
although
bit
they look equally attractive, both man and woman, like both beautiful people that jealous of both of them and admire both of them.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to give this recipe a shot. It looks pretty good. So
the last little thing we have on the top here before we get to the commercial break and bring in Liam and Ellie, new lap observations. What did you notice on Fast and Furious number 4 this time that you'd never seen before?
I noticed for the first time ever, and I was thinking about resident historian Mike Manzi when I noticed it, that there is ads for NAS Energy Drink in this one. Mm-hmm. Like when Brian is like first FBIing in the movie, he like runs past the store and there's like a big NAS Energy Drink sign, and I was like, oh, we always talk about the NAS Energy Drink and what it means to the series, and you don't really see it.
You do see it in this movie though, because Brian has a can, and that's how he kills the tracker.
Oh, I didn't.
He's drinking NAS. I made a note of that last time. We might have mentioned it briefly, but when Braga, who we think is Campos at that time, is scanning the cars, he's looking for bugs, looking for whatever, and he rips the thing out and dumps it in this can, and that's why back in the FBI, the Department of Justice, they're like, he killed the tracker. He's like, no, he didn't. He's like, no, he killed the tracker. But yeah, he drops it in a can of NAS. So
yeah,
I guess they finally got on board. They're like, oh, we should probably promote ourselves in this because...
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that's that. My big observation, and we will talk about this, I'm sure, later, we've talked about how this is sort of like, not like a reboot, but kind of a reset of the series. Like, it brings it back to basics. It's Dom, it's Brian, it's Mia, it's Letty for a little bit. I never really thought about how tight-knit is the wrong word, but, like, there aren't a lot of other family members. Like, in the opening, we've got Rico and Tego, we've got Han, we're going to get Giselle. Like, Giselle is here even though she's not part of the family, but, like, it's really just the three of them. You know what I mean? Like, it is the tightest family, like, even tighter than the first one, because the first one, we have
Vince
Dom's
and Jesse.
crew. Exactly. This is just really the three of them, and I was, the pictures that we use on caseclub.me for each episode, the episode art, I was trying to think, because this whole lap is like, what's the most family moment? And, like, the only one, really, is when the three of them are having dinner. Like, it's just, like, there's only the three of them, and they're rarely in the same scene together. Like, it is really just a Brian movie, or a Brian and Mia movie, or a Brian and Dom movie, or a Dom and Mia movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah. I understand.
It's this weird kind of tight, like, it works. Like, I think...
No, when you think about this one, you're like, oh, yeah, it's like one where we start to get all the family, but it's really not all of them. Because, like, Han leaves really quick. Rico and Tego, they're not there for very long. And you don't have Tej and Roman yet. So it's like, it's really, really slim pickings here. I agree.
Exactly.
And Gal is, yeah, you're right. Gal's not on the team.
One of the things that I noticed related is that there is a great Dom and Mia scene.
Which one?
I don't think we really get too many of those, but they're in the car, and Mia says, I love you to Dom, and, like, they have, like, that farewell, like, how do you say goodbye to your only brother? Like, I feel like this is a really tight, like, it is family, undeniably family. It's just, like, a smaller, tighter family, and, like, these are like, the core people, which I think was a conscious decision by the franchise after having a movie where we know no one, except for Dom at the very, very end, to be like, here's the people that you love the most.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a good move.
Well, let us take a quick break. We will be back after these commercial messages, and aka just music. We will be back with Liam and Ellie of the Nerd on Nerd podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. I just want to remind everyone that our sponsor today is British Petroleum. Starting in 1908 with the discovery of oil in Persia, their story has always been about transitions from coal to oil, oil to gas, from onshore to deep water, and now onwards towards a new mix of energy sources as the world moves into a lower carbon future. British Petroleum.
And as we talked about before the break, our sponsor went international because for the first time on this show, we are going international. We are bringing the family overseas, just like Fast and Furious did last movie. They're going to do again next movie. They're going to do again in 6 and 8 and maybe 7. I don't remember. Probably 7. All of the movies. Joining us today from the Nerd on Nerd podcast, all the way from the United Kingdom, we have Liam and Ellie. Hello, Liam and Ellie.
Hello.
How are you two doing today?
Good. We're doing good.
I was thinking about you. I knew we were doing this episode, but I didn't plan any of this stuff. But, like, last night for dinner, I ate fish and chips. This morning, I woke up and watched Premier League. And I was just like, oh my god, I was family getting ready from every aspect I could to talk to you guys today.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're basically fully British at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
You just need like a cup of tea and you're sorted.
A nice cuppa.
Yeah. Okay.
I know the lingo. So we are here today to talk about Fast and Furious number 4. Before we started recording, we were talking about trying to figure out if Ellie had seen this movie before. Answer: uncertain.
Not sure. Don't know.
It is, in a way, like a reboot, reset of the series. The tagline, I don't know if either of you saw the tagline for this. We talked about this in the last lap. New model, original parts.
I like
after
that
Tokyo
tagline.
Drift, where they went overseas, all new characters, new locale. People, like, the movie was great, but I think people didn't connect to it. They're like, okay, here we got Vin, we got Paul, we got Michelle, we got Jordana, got the characters you know, the actors you know, the characters you know, the place you know. Bring it all back. New story, same actors. And I think this is the beginning of the ascent into, the biggest franchise in the world.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did Tokyo Drift not end with a Vin Diesel cameo?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
but
okay.
He's on screen for 15 seconds.
Maybe.
It still counts.
It counts.
It still counts.
Like, if this was a Vin Diesel podcast, you'd still be covering it.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And I don't know if you know this, but we talked about it briefly on our Too Fast, Too Furious episode. They didn't know if he was going to come back for the second one, so they wrote 2 scripts, one with him, one without him. Didn't come back. I think he went and did a Riddick movie instead. So Vin is sort of obviously the centerpiece of this whole franchise, but even in the movies he's not in, his presence is still felt.
Is it 4, the first one, that he takes over creative control?
Maybe?
4 or
I don't
5?
know.
It's one
Again,
of those...
we've done no research.
Yeah,
because we are waiting until we run out of things to talk about to do research. So
exactly.
Cool. That works for me
Anything is
because
possible.
I also have done none.
To be fair, I did minimal research and I watched 2 of the extras on the Blu-ray, which is all I had time to do.
We haven't done extras either yet, so...
Yeah, I watched a gag reel, which was just not great. It was basically just Paul Walker corpsing in a green screen room a lot.
Okay.
And then I watched an extra that was all about sort of bringing a family back together, which was just lots of fluffy talking heads saying how wonderful it was getting all the actors back and what a joy it was to work with everyone again.
Okay,
but isn't this film sort of like the blueprint for what would come later, where they're bringing in sort of cast from previous movies, putting them together, and sort of it very much feels like the start of the next era of this franchise.
Yes. It's exactly what. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. This is the first time we get the family back, and you start adding. You have Gal Gadot, even though she's not on the team yet. She's not part of the family. She's in it, So
she's already in love with Dom.
Yeah.
Multiple scenes where she's like, "Oh, Dom."
I said this to Rachel. We were watching the movie last night, and I was like, if there was ever a time in my life that I thought you were dead, but you just forgot about me, and then Gal Gadot was super lusty after me, I promise I wouldn't tell you either. Because, Dom doesn't address that Gal Gadot, was in love with him this whole movie. As soon as Letty comes back, he's like, oh, there you are. She's just part of the team now. And I'm like, I would have had the same reaction.
I mean, spoilers for Ellie if she hasn't seen any more of these films.
I mean, I haven't, but I also know that she comes back, which is... I definitely... So if I have seen Fast and Furious films before, which I have, I remember Tokyo Drift. It's the best Fast and the Furious film. I don't care what anyone says.
Agreed. No, we agree. I agree. At least I agree.
It's awesome. So I know that this... If I did watch more of them, this is as far as I would have got. But I know that Letty comes back, and then watching this film, I was like, how does she come back? Because she's killed off in this film.
She's way dead.
How do you think she comes back?
I'm just assuming they do some bullshit.
So no, but here's the thing I was thinking about this time around. It's kind of like Game of Thrones. We don't see a body.
Yeah.
Not dead.
We see the gunshot, but we don't see her get shot.
Right.
We see a gunshot.
And that's also in a flashback. That's not
It's
in
a Dom.
actual
It's
crime
a Dom
footage.
reenactment in his head. So
it's him pulling a Will Graham in Hannibal. Let me just recreate the crime scene.
Exactly.
That's honestly the best scene in this film is Dom being sort of Sherlock Holmes, and it's so just how
I had a very Boondock Saints kind of image, when he does the Willem Dafoe standing in the doorway and he sees it was the same thing to me. I agree though.
You can say so, Joe. On the one hand, you might have to explain Giselle to Letty, right? That Giselle was in love with him, but also this whole movie, he's simultaneously flirting, but also keeping her at an arm's distance. He describes his ideal woman, and she says, "That doesn't sound like me." He says, "It ain't." He's still in love with Letty.
That's so brutal, though, isn't it? What a harsh line.
But that's not as bad as the fact that in the next movie he will meet Elena, who, again, spoilers for later movies, he has a baby with. So, being around a woman who is in love with you is one thing. Having a baby with another woman is a whole other thing. So, I don't think explaining Giselle is as severe or dire as explaining Elena and baby Paul or baby Brian, but Letty brushes that off. She's like, no, I get it. So I don't think she would have a problem with Giselle at all, especially since...
But Giselle's hanging out with them. She's part of the crew now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's if you showed up in this chick and you're like, oh yeah, this is this lusty chick that hasn't left because she's in love with me, just standing here, I might not want to say that. That's what I'm thinking.
But she is in this film, she's on the opposing side, right? So he's maybe just don't sleep with the enemy.
Don't sleep with the enemy, but all the enemy becomes family in the next movie, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Giselle becomes family. Jason Statham becomes family. Jason Statham is maybe the most villainous character in the entire series, and he still becomes family. You know what I mean? So, don't sleep with the enemy.
I don't buy
this
that,
movie
though.
Because just wait a movie, and then you'll be able to sleep with them when they're family.
Are we going to get a scene where Dom sleeps with Jason Statham's character?
Well, let me tell you about a theory that we had.
Oh, I'm excited.
Wasn't it Mike Manzi's theory?
I think so, yes. Go ahead.
We have a theory that because The Rock seems so asexual in these movies, that at some point he's going to come out as the first Fast and Furious gay character, besides Suki.
Doesn't he have kids?
He has a daughter, but
film?
that doesn't mean anything, right? Like,
Okay.
But we also think that, like, he's not going to make a big thing of it because his whole character, Hobbs, is just business.
Yeah.
It just feels like he's going to, like, we could see him saying, like, oh, my boyfriend or my partner or whatever, and then just brushing by it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Suki is gay in 2, but she's
it's like
in
strongly hinted. There's
10
never like
minutes
an
of the movie.
outright saying of it, but she's mentions Tej doesn't have the parts that she needs and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
And she's also, like, getting real comfy cozy with women in that movie. So
yeah, for sure.
before we go too much further
Yeah.
into this movie, we have some questions for the two of you, sort of questions that we ask every guest, try to get a gauge, try to get a sense of who you are in relation to these movies.
Cool.
We'll start with Liam, then we'll go to Ellie. Liam, are you a Brian or are you a Dom?
I think I'm probably more of a Brian, but I want to be a Dom, which actually, thinking about it, makes me even more Brian.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We haven't had that answer for this one yet, but the next question we've had that exact kind of one character but wants to be the other character. Actually, before we go any further, how many of these movies have you two seen?
I've seen all of them.
All 8, okay.
Yeah.
And Ellie? I don't mean to put you on the spot with a very difficult question, but how many of
I've
these
either
movies have you
seen
seen?
3 of them or
Okay.
4 of them.
Okay.
3 or 4, okay.
Which ones?
1, 2, 3, and then maybe 4 before this.
Okay,
Okay.
so you've seen the first half. Okay, so you
Oh,
basically...
man. You gave up right before it turns, but right before it pivots and gets wacky.
That is what I've heard.
You saw the car movies. You haven't seen the action movies.
Yeah.
No.
Because, okay, just like we say this all the time, but just to let you know, 5 is the Italian Job 2, literally the script of the Italian Job 2.
The Brazilian Job, yes.
That they turned into a Fast and Furious movie.
5 is my
If that
favourite.
tells you anything, yeah.
I mean, I have been saying to Ellie for a while now that these films just keep improving and she should check them out, but she ignores me.
Liam, what you need to do is next time you have a birthday, instead of forcing Ellie and all the other friends to watch High School Musical for the 8th time, make them watch Fast 5 and Furious 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
or
could do that.
Fast and Furious 6. Like, that's your responsibility to us, to yourself,
To America.
Ellie and your friends, to America, to Vin Diesel.
Okay,
Have
I
your
can't let
friends
America
watch
down.
these movies.
Okay.
All right, Ellie, are you a Brian or are you a Dom?
I feel like I'm a Brian.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Next question. Difficult really to gauge from this movie because one of these characters is not really in the movie too much. Liam, are you a Mia or are you a Letty?
Probably Mia, but again, I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah, that's exactly me. That I'm a Mia who wants to be a Letty.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm not.
No, I'm not badass enough to be Letty.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ellie, are you a Mia or are you a Letty?
I think I'm a Mia, but I'm like a non-ashamed Mia. I'm fine with being Mia.
A proud Mia. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
She
proud
seems like
Mia.
she's proud. She's holding the whole family together. I think Mia's the cornerstone of the whole thing, so...
Yeah, everyone just rocks up all like, oh, Dom's like bleeding to death again, and Mia's just like, don't worry, I'm on it.
Yeah, exactly.
What I don't understand about this movie, she's like, oh, the bullet's not in there, but there's no exit wound. Like, where'd the bullet go?
I thought that was going to be a plot point, and I was like, oh, interesting, and then it just never got brought up again.
No.
So are we to believe that he got shot and then the bullet just fell out?
He just flexed and he just
Or
popped
his
it
body
out.
ate the bullet?
Yeah, or that, yeah.
Because he does have nitrous oxide in his blood and a gas tank for a brain. Like, maybe he's also able to absorb metal and steel and become more man-machine hybrid.
Maybe. Who knows?
This one you can both answer. Liam, are you a Roman or are you a Tej? Roman from two Fast, Two Furious. Are you a
definitely. No,
Tyrese
Roman-
or are you a Ludacris?
Roman's annoying, so I'm going to go with... I mean, Ellie would probably say I am a Roman then, but I'm not going to admit it, so I'm going with Tej.
Ellie, question for you. What are you, and then how would you describe Liam?
So the problem is I don't remember those two characters.
Okay. The way that they're introduced, Roman is sort of like a motor mouth who is from Brian's past. They were buddies. They were, boys for a while ago. Then Roman got taken down in a sting. He thought Brian contributed to it. Brian didn't. And now he's part of the family. He's sort of this cocky guy who is
Jokester.
kind of the butt of a lot of jokes, but he's also like the humor. Tej began as he owns a garage. He has he basically is like this entrepreneurial, like he hosts the events, and now he is like a martial artist who's now a computer hacker and can also fire guns and be like an
Sounds like me.
driver. But at their core, it's like a hardened criminal who's also kind of a goof, or an entrepreneurial guy who sort of becomes like a jack of all trades.
I mean, I think me and Liam are both Romans then, really.
Okay.
Fuck off.
Very fair.
Also, who's the guy that plays Roman?
Tyrese.
And he's the one that got all bitchy with The Rock on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, he had a whole meltdown. That
Yeah.
was... Yeah.
Now, this next question, Ellie, unfortunately, you can't answer just because you don't know these characters yet. Liam, are you a Deckard or are you an Owen Shaw? Are you a Jason Statham or are you... I can't pull the actor's name. Are you the bad guy from 6 or the bad guy from 7?
I think I'm a Jason Statham.
Okay, cool. Liam, do you prefer, and this is a plot point in this when we have the not Joe Dirt character makes a point about it. Liam, do you prefer American Muscle or imports in terms of your
American
cars?
Muscle all the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ellie?
Yeah, American Muscle.
Now, is that a thing in the UK? Do you see, like, how often do you see these kind of cars?
Like, never.
Only when I watch these sorts of films.
Okay. Like, never in the street. That sucks.
You guys, with your whole, like, all our roads are straight and we have nice grids, it's, like, designed for muscle cars, whereas
Yes.
England, we just sort of went, oh, there's all these hills and, like,
Roundabouts.
shitty lakes and stuff. Let's just make weird, twisty roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you guys, like, planned and thought about where your roads were going to go, and we were just like, what's the quickest way to get from one place to the other? Fuck it if there's things in the way.
Joey, you want to know how I know neither of them have been to Boston before? Because that place is fucked.
You're saying that we thought things out, but we also had the idea. You could also look at it like we had the mindset to, like, fuck it, we're going to take down this entire forest and just, like, put down, like, a grid, and you had the foresight to be like, oh no, like, let's just weave around a mountain bend, and, like, just, like, let's not destroy nature to get places. Like, there's definitely a positive spin to it, the way that the UK laid out their roads.
Nah, I prefer the way you guys do it.
Next question, there's 2 more, unless we want to add one for this movie. This is one that doesn't necessarily make sense unless you've seen 7, Ellie, but you can still answer the question. Do you prefer Corona or a Belgian ale?
Corona for me.
All right.
I think I'm also a Corona.
Good. I think that's the right choice. I mean, there's no wrong choice when it comes to beer, but, you know, in 7, Kurt Russell shows up because, of course, he does, and he prefers a Belgian ale, which irritates Dom a little bit, but that's the divide there. Then the last question, and Joe, unless you want to think of one for this movie, I was trying to think. I don't have any great ones. Are you more a racer or are you a designer? Are you the one building the car or driving the car?
100% a racer.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because he did do the racing thing, remember?
Oh, yeah, I did the stunt driving, yeah.
Are you a racer or are you a designer?
I'm a designer.
Joe and I have not answered that question. I think we're probably going to answer the ones that we're missing on our relap recap, but I think that I'm probably more of a designer. Like, again, that's one where I'm a designer who wants to be a racer, but I just know, you know, I don't have it out there. I'm the behind the scenes kind of
I would like to
person.
tinker, man. I'm like a tinkerer, researcher, reader. So, like, I would definitely... I think I would probably be a designer, too.
Nah, I want to be on that road doing all of the crazy jumps and shit.
Yeah,
Love
The racing looks stressful.
What? No way. It's chill. You just, like... You
Dom
just
had
get in
to
the zone.
calculate how a burning gas tanker would bounce and then drive under it. That's too much.
No, that's just what you have to do.
Do you see how calm he looks though when he's just like, all right, there's a tanker that's on fire, bouncing and tumbling toward me.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna calmly Tokyo drift under it.
I mean, not only that, but he also has Letty screaming right next to him, which probably isn't helping.
Yeah, I agree.
But I was also thinking, you know, they're going like he has Letty in the car, right? And they're going down that hill. And I understand that like it's a very steep incline, which is why the guy with the iguana bails.
Yep.
Just brake. Like you're not in a tanker.
It was, yeah. There's a couple of bits in this film where a sensible mind sort of goes, oh, why didn't they just do that other thing? And then the film's just like, no, don't say that.
Which is kind of where the franchise goes. Like, well, we could do this one thing, but instead we're going to drop cars from a plane onto a mountainous island because we need that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you approach these films with a sensible mind, you just stay home and sort of save up and buy your own car and just go to work and just live your life paying taxes. Who wants to watch a film about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we have a couple other questions for the two of you, just to get a sort of a baseline of where you're coming from. We'll start with Ellie. Ellie, the first, you for sure have seen the first 3. Did you see these in theaters, or when did you come about them? Like, where did you first cross paths, you know, come to an intersection, if you will, with these movies?
My dad used to, every week, me and him would have like a movie night where
Okay.
he'd rent a film from a DVD shop or whatever. And I'm pretty positive the Fast and the Furious, all three of them, were just he went out and rented them.
Is your dad a gearhead?
No, not particularly.
Did he like action movies?
Yeah, we just,
Okay.
it used to be like, I think because we were burning through the like film stores stock quite quickly, so he'd just be like, I'll pick up anything that looks interesting.
Gotcha.
Cool. I like that a lot. He has a good way to experience it.
And Liam, what about you? I know that you have, what is it, the first 6 or the first 7 on Blu-ray?
I have them all now.
What was that big box set that you bought?
Yeah, so I have like a box set which is a tie-up which has the first 5, I think, in it.
Okay.
And then I've bought the other ones on Blu-ray, and then the most recent one on 4K. But I've also seen 6 and 7 at the cinema.
Those were the first ones you saw in theaters, 6 and 7?
Yeah, so I watched sort of 1 to 3 ages ago, and then I got the tie box set, watched them all, then watched 6 sort of when it came out on Blu-ray. I bought that, and then for 7 and 8 I went to cinema to see it.
Okay, cool.
And if you had to rank them, and Ellie, you can rank your 4 too if you can remember them. What are, if you don't have like definitive rankings, but like which are your favorite? Like, I know Ellie, you said that Tokyo Drift is your favorite, the best one.
Yeah.
How would you two rank the movies that you've seen that you remember from best to worst or worst to best, however you want to say them?
I'll let Ellie go first.
Is that including this one?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Yeah. So probably 3's the best. From what I remember of 1, I'd probably put that second, then this one, and then number 2. But I don't, only because I don't remember anything that happens in 2.
Okay.
I feel like that's pretty fair. Okay. And Liam, you have the 8 to rank.
So 5 is my favourite by a long shot. Then 6.
World's
then
Longest Runway.
I think we go 7.
Okay.
Then 4. Then 1. Then 3. Then 8. Then 2.
That's a lot of very common list, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
2 is my
that's a
least
lot of
favourite by a long shot.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah.
of people would agree with you, for sure. You guys are right in the same wheelhouse. Like, sometimes we get people with interesting takes that like a strange one. Like Tokyo Drift is a big divider. Like Ellie seemed to even sense that like
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift is like split, right? Like I love it, but then like a lot of people are just like, we hate that movie. I don't want it to be part of this. And stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. While it is quite low on my list, I still super enjoy it. So if anything, this list is just sort of, I love them all. Just if I have to rank them, sort of 3 is the last one that I really enjoy, and then you have 8 and 2, which 2 particularly I really struggle with. 8 was okay, but a bit kind of disappointing. I don't like the direction they took it in with like splitting up the core group.
Yeah.
That's, I think that, we've talked about this a lot on here, that like 8 is my least favorite just because for that very reason. Like I don't want to see Dom against the family. 2 is one that I felt the same way that both of you feel. Like I was just not into it. I did not like it. And then watching it for this and talking about it and then watching it again for lap 2, I like it more and more each time. And I think that also happened with Joe in this movie, that this was one that he was sort of worried about.
I watched it again this time, and I was just about to say that the more I'm watching 4, I like in my head 4 was ranked my last movie for sure. And now that I'm like 2 or 3 more watches into it, I liked it more this time too. I think there's like a lot of good one-liners and like wacky shit that Dom says and does that make it more enjoyable than I remembered.
Is it still your least favourite though, or has it overtaken something?
No. I need to see when I do my...
close, right?
Yeah, I think 8 is solidly the last place one.
Okay.
And this might eventually push 2 out of like a lower spot.
One thing that we were talking about before you two joined us was that what's sort of interesting that we like about this movie is that it's like an intimate feel. Like we talked about how this is the original cast back again, but like, the opening scene where they're stealing the oil tankers, we have Han, who we saw last movie, we're going to see again for a couple more movies. We have Rigo and Tego. We've got some girl with Han that we've never seen before, we'll never see again. But like outside of those, it's really just the core 4, and then Letty dies 15 minutes in. Like most of this movie is just Brian, Dom, and Mia, and I think that really works in terms of like recentering this franchise and like remembering what's important in a way.
Do you think it was always planned for Letty to eventually come back, or do you think? So what happened, do you think, that made them change their mind?
I think that after 3, this is a theory that I have, that after 3, Justin Lin started to listen to the audience feedback from the films.
Okay.
And when everybody at 3 was like, we didn't want that, we want the original characters back, he makes 4. everybody's like, that was cool, but why'd you kill off Letty? We liked her. And he's like, okay, cool, we'll bring her back. You know what I mean? Because he brings Han back in this one, even though he just killed Han off. And he brings back the original characters. So I think that he's just playing, like, a call and return with the audience and, like, just pulling, like, what people are saying about the movie. And then he just makes a movie that answers those questions later.
And, like, Ellie, I won't spoil how she comes back because I really think you should see them. But the way that she comes back is at the very, very end of 5, in a post-credit scene, we have Ava Mendes, Mrs. Ryan Gosling, who was in 2, this is the only other time she's ever been in the franchise, comes up to The Rock at the end of 5 at his desk, and is like, you'll never believe who we just found. And it's just a picture of Letty, and you're like, oh shit, she's back. And then, she's back in 6 in a big way, and then she's in the rest of the movies. But 5, which Liam loves, which I love, which Joe loves, which most people, that's like the first, like, I think really, unless you love car culture, like, that's the first truly incredible movie in the franchise.
Yeah.
Letty's just not even in. Like, she's not in 3, she's not in 2, she's not in 3, she's barely in 4, she's not in 5, and yet she's still this core character to the franchise because of her relation to Dom.
I seriously lost my shit when I first saw that, like, post-credit scene, because it was just so glorious. I loved it.
I'm sure, knowing you were sort of like me, where when I watched 6 in theaters, or wherever you watch 6, and they showed Jason Statham at the end, I stood up in the theater and I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Like, it's the same kind of, like, we're gonna, like, this movie you just saw and loved, like, we're gonna kick it up a notch with here, this reveal of a character that's gonna come back in the next movie, like, get you really energized for the next one. You have to wait 2 years to see.
Yeah.
I guess one question, I don't know if we've played this every time or not, Joe, but, Ellie, if you had to pick, what would be your choices for the most and least family moments in this movie? Like, what's the event, what's the action, what's the line, the scene, whatever, that most embodies, resembles the family that this franchise has come to known for?
Okay, so I guess the most family moment is Mia getting them to say grace over before they have dinner.
Wrong.
And the sort of like the cheeky look between Dom and Brian.
Yep.
Yeah, wrong.
Totally remember their name.
So wrong.
That was so family. That was family.
No.
What?
Liam, what's your pick for most? If that's not it, what's your pick for
The
most?
most family is right at the end when Dom's on the prison bus and he hears the cars come in, he does a little smile, and you've got them all coming to save him.
That's a very family part. I agree.
That is a good point.
Yeah, it's a very family part. He just, like, hears the engines. He's like, yeah, that's my family.
Exactly. It doesn't even need dialogue. That's how family it is.
I could just hear it in his head. Like, I could hear him saying in his own voice, like, that's
Mi familia.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
There's a lot of sacrifice in this movie. Brian sacrifices his career multiple times, it feels like, to bust Mia out of the interrogation room, to put his job on the line, to
He's
free
been a shitty
Dom.
cop from the jump, though. Like, this is not like a new
Well, he's been a shitty cop, but he's also been recruited to the FBI, to the DOJ, because he can lie to people. Like, feels like, look at the guy's track record. At the very end of this movie, the judge is like, one right does not make up for a lifetime of wrongs. Like, I feel like, unless you're a
Brian
cop,
should
in which
be in
case,
jail.
like, yeah, it's crazy.
Only in America could you have, like, a guy fuck up so bad all the time and still be moving up in the world, right? Like, he's just like,
upwards, baby.
living the dream. And he's, like, hanging out with, like, he puts his arm around the criminal's sister in front of the judge.
Yeah.
Like, he's sitting next to her, and they're, like, sitting there, and he's like, well, like, I know that you think that he's a good guy, but, like, he's a hardened criminal, and we're gonna send him to jail. And Brian's like, okay, I'm just gonna bang his sister then, like, what the fuck is wrong?
That's even weirder, because the judge is like, oh, even, clearly the judge was nearly swayed to release Dom, because he's like, oh yeah, Brian said he's a real good guy, and I just can't. But then, if you were looking into that box that they're sitting in, you'd be like, oh, I think he's scammed me.
Yeah, it's so weird.
What's also weird is that, like, it feels like, and I don't know if they have the jurisdiction, but it feels like Brian's bosses in this movie are close to agreeing to his deal. Like, we bring in Braga, you let Dom walk. And it feels like, they don't say it, but it feels like, yeah, like, we're on board with that. And then they fuck up, and then they're like, oh no, we're done. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it feels like there were a couple times where Dom was, like, close to being acquitted of all crimes, of all charges, whatever. Like, one thing happens, like, well, never mind. Like, you're, good luck. Wait till The Rock comes around. Maybe he'll acquit you or whatever.
You only need to do 3 more of these international spy plot lines, and then you'll be free again.
So then, Ellie, what's your pick for the least family moment? What in here betrays family in the biggest way? What is the most reprehensible, almost I mean, nothing is unforgivable. Like everyone is forgiven in this franchise over and over again for everything. But what feels the most unforgivable act or scene or line or whatever in this movie by any character?
My pick is maybe going to be controversial,
Ooh.
but
Okay.
when Dom beats the crap out of Brian because Letty's number went through to him,
Yeah.
which he then was like, oh, so Letty must have worked for the cops while I was away for 2 years, and then just beats the shit out of him. And I was like, what are you doing, Dom? It's not his fault.
I think it is his fault, though. I think that
But-
because he was like, look, Letty, like, you can save Dom if you just like do all this dumb shit for the FBI with us.
That's not how he
you're-
says
No,
it, though.
maybe
Like, that
that's
might
the
have been
way,
what happened,
yeah.
but it sounds like Letty went to him, was like, I will do what it takes to free Dom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think Brian said to Letty, like,
But if you were a real friend, you would be like, no, I can't let you do this. You know what I mean? I think that's what the core of that.
But
comes down to.
then like Brian, I know he's betrayed them in all that in the other films, and he's a cop, but he is a cop. So if one of them came to him and went, I want to get Dom help and also work for the cops, surely Brian would be like, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
unless you remember that he is the worst cop in the world. Like,
He is the worst cop. That is true.
like, that whole scene is really, I think that's one that I really want to dive deep on with you, Joe, in a future episode, because, like, there's a lot going on in that scene where Dom has, like, a bunch of emotions.
Yeah.
He's trying to make sense of, like, a world. What I thought about this time around is, like, how shitty he must feel to leave Letty in the middle of the night, right? And, like, walk out, and it gives her, like, 2 stacks of cash, his necklace, and then leaves. And then the next
Sisterhood
time
of the
he hears
Traveling
about
Necklace.
her
Yeah. That's
is Mia saying Letty died. The magnitude of that, like, he did what he thought was right. Like, he left her
To
so that
keep
she
her
wouldn't
alive.
be pursued.
Yeah.
But, you know, if he was around, maybe he could have protected her. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? It's a weird thing to think about.
Speaking of the necklace, is there, like, later in the movie, is Braga wearing the necklace? He is, right?
I don't know. Everybody has this damn necklace at some point.
It might be just a different necklace, but it feels like I think it's when they go to Mexico for the first time, right? And
They're at the party in the warehouse.
no, they go out to that overlook or whatever, and that's where Dom says only pussies use nitro meth, and then blows up the car, and, like, Braga gets away. I think he's wearing the necklace.
It would make sense because like Letty had it, and then the guy
And Phoenix
killed
took
him,
it from her. Yeah.
and then he took it, and then he would give it to because you know the necklace keeps traveling like up the chain and then back to Dom and then to some other woman and.
Wasn't it left in the car that she was working on?
It might have been hanging
You're
around
right.
the rear view.
Yeah, you're right. That's what it was. Yeah, maybe Braga doesn't have it. She left it in the car. Yeah,
But that necklace is this franchise's version of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Like, everybody
Yeah.
has that. It is.
at some point.
It is it is something to everyone, like, to the point where, later, spoilers, but it becomes Letty's wedding ring. When Dom and Letty get secret married, that is the wedding ring. So, you know, it is a very important piece of jewelry.
And then his other girlfriend has it at some point too. So who the fuck knows?
Oh, and then, you know, he uses it to bust Elena out, like, to find Elena. Like, yeah, I mean, it is the most important. Like, that is the most important object in this entire franchise.
If I would have hit Mega Millions this week, one of the first things I would have bought would have been Dom's necklace, like a pro recreation of it. You know,
Or
what
just,
I
like,
mean?
you could afford the actual thing. You know what I mean? Like,
God, I would hope so. Like one of them.
remember when we found that, like, that auction or whatever, when
God
they
damn
were
it,
auctioning
yes.
off the Dirty Grandpa stuff, and you could buy the jar that said Pam's Kids on it? Like, can you imagine if the Fast and Furious did a thing where, like, here, for, like, $25,000, you could have the necklace that Dom wore? But, like, yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
would have definitely bought it. Like
What
that's
would be
something that
amazing is if you could buy it and then sort of offer to loan it back to them for the next film on the condition that you get a cameo.
Well, so
Yeah.
Joe's ultimate vision for this podcast, well, no, he's got 2 ideas. Number one, he wants us to be invited to a red
premiere.
carpet premiere, which I think is difficult but attainable. His
Yeah.
other one,
Like, and we do like a live reporting, like this was
Yeah.
us going to the red carpet. We come back, we review the movie. Like that's what I want to happen.
his other one, which is a little bit more difficult, is he wants a character in the movie to be listening to our podcast on screen.
Just like a
That'd be
quick
awesome.
flash. Like I just want them to like be on their phone and like take an earpod out and be like, oh yeah, and you see their phone and it's like Too Fast, Too Forever, and they were like listening to that, they just pause it
But that
you know?
means that they live in a world in which these movies are movies.
But fucking Tej, Ludacris made the theme song of a movie that he's in that he's not Ludacris.
True, it's true.
I wanted to get that meta, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I guess we're not that far off, but, I still feel like the red carpet dream is attainable. That one is...
Yeah,
I mean,
it's never gonna
it's also
happen.
attainable,
It's
but it's
never
just going to
gonna
be real weird if it happens. But I'm,
it's
fully
never
on board.
gonna happen.
How many more of these movies do you think there'll be?
I don't see them stopping.
Including
I think
spin-offs? They
they've
said
talked
10.
about doing 10 in the main franchise.
Okay.
But if Hobbs and Shaw does good, I think we're gonna get like 6 or 7 more spin-offs too.
There's also a Netflix series, like a prequel about Dom's cousin, who's not a character in the movies. Like, they're not going to let this franchise die. Like,
They just built the ride in Universal. Like,
Yep.
they just built
Yeah.
the ride. So, like,
Like, I'm on board for as many more movies as they want to do, but I just kind of if they get to 10, great, but I don't want them to stop there.
no, they won't. They definitely won't. Don't think that 10 is a hard and fast rule.
Yeah, they need to get to space at some point. Like, I know that's a thing that kind of a lot of people say, but I'm not happy until I see like some sort of, like that scene in Armageddon where he's in sort of a moon buggy jumping over like a chasm or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that.
You know what I said? Oh, when I was talking to my friends about this franchise too the other day, I didn't tell Joey this one yet, that I said the ultimate end, like the peak end of 10, if 10 is where they actually stop, is going to have to be Dom's son Brian and Brian's son racing each other.
ooh.
You
That
like
would
cut
be
to
cool.
the future and they're like racing each other. Like even in like go-karts or something.
So it's
But,
kind of
those-
like the Gods Beyond the Pines.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I can see this franchise going to, which is the idea of Jordan Poland Clark, co-host of the Wistful Thinking podcast here on the network, and she'll be on Fast and Furious 6. So in 2 episodes, she'll be on talking to us about that movie. Her idea when she saw Black Panther, which have you all seen Black Panther?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you know how like the sister in that has that virtual car that she drives, and like from the lab she's driving the car.
Yeah.
Like, she wants
Yeah.
Fast and Furious to include that because this franchise could do it better. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of
Oh.
technology that this could incorporate. Just sort of bring that into this world, which I think is a very doable and attainable goal.
It's like Ready Player One.
Yeah,
Like,
like a VR AR kind of situation.
Yeah.
But like with pro drivers.
that'd be cool. Yeah.
Liam, what's your pick for the least family moment in this movie?
I think you mentioned it earlier when Dom leaves Letty. I mean, like, I get that he, in his mind, he's doing it for the right reasons, but you've got to stick together with family.
Yeah.
And like you said, she'd probably be safer if he'd have stuck around.
Yeah, leaving... I didn't even think about leaving Letty as one of them, but yeah, that's pretty bad.
I mean, I really struggled to think of one, to be honest.
Joe, do you have a pick for least moment?
I was thinking when he, like, doesn't... Well, I mean, I guess he knows that he does beat the shit out of Brian, like, when he shows up, but he should have beat the shit out of Brian many times in this movie just for dicking over Mia. Like, as soon as he saw him, he should just beat the shit out of him.
I get a sense that, like, he obviously goes to Miami for Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yeah.
I kind of get the sense that, Mia left because of Dom, though. Like, I feel like she might have still been on board, because I think in her head, at the end of 1, she was betrayed and felt like she had been lied to, which she was. But I think knowing the type of character that Mia is, it feels like she might rationally be able to be like, oh, he did this for us. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah,
that-
but even still, that doesn't affect how Dom feels about Brian.
It's true. How many times are you going to beat him up in a single movie? I mean, really.
But he needs to defend his sister's honor. You know what I
True.
mean? Like, that's what
He's
I
a
was
man who will fight for her honor.
thinking. Yeah, exactly. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
So, Liam, how many times have you seen this movie? Just twice or more than twice? Or...
I think this is my second time watching it. I can double check to be sure. Yeah, this is my second time. The first time I watched it was the 17th of January 2013.
Oh, look at that
So it's been a
letterboxed
while.
stats. Yeah.
Yep, letterboxed.
Did you guys like this movie? We didn't even talk about that. Did you guys like this movie?
What did you notice about this movie? There's just stuff that you liked or that you noticed this time around that you didn't catch the last time? Or Joe and I sort of talked about ours at the beginning. Ellie, anything that you saw this time that you may have remembered from a dream from when you saw this for the first time? Like, any what are your big takeaways this time around? Like, what were your favorite, least favorite moments, new observations, whatever?
It's so hard because it all could be new and it all could not be new.
Sure.
But I mean, maybe the fact that the guy that's driving the gas truck at the beginning has an iguana with him. That
Iguana was a
could be-
big reveal to me. I had forgotten about the iguana. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what that's about. Like that truck driver himself maybe is my favorite moment of this film because he has so many different characters. He plays man driving gas truck, sort of genius driver guy who's like I'm going to swing all these huge gas canisters,
Yep.
and I'm going to like perfectly mess these people up. And then Coward, where he's just like, oh no, I did that wrong, and gets out.
And he has an iguana.
He's also reading a magazine while driving, which I can understand. Like, if you're a pro driver and you're driving like long stretches of straightaways, sure, maybe, but you're on a mountain.
Yeah.
Why are you reading a magazine while you're like? This guy has a death wish.
Yeah,
He lives life the same way that the other
quarter
street
mile at a
racers
time.
do.
pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I did notice in that scene at one point, I think they make a comment that there's only a quarter mile left, or was it? No, it was a scene where they're doing the trial run with the GPS. Yeah, that's it.
Where they're doing the 5 mile race instead of the quarter mile race. Yeah, absolutely. That's Liam, what did you notice this time? What were your favorite moments, favorite characters?
The thing I noticed this time was just how much green screen there was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I didn't notice the first time. It was really obvious this time.
As we get further into CGI technology, yeah, we're going to start picking up more and more on shit like that. I had a good one this time. I noticed that the character Dwight, the guy that has the muscle car, right? The cowboy kind of guy. Does everybody know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Joe Dirt, yeah, this guy. I noticed that he was referring to himself in the third person, saying, like, Dwight doesn't do that, or Dwight has a muscle car. Do you think that's a hint that Braga is Braga from the beginning? Like, that's, like, their way to tell you to, like, pay attention to this?
Maybe?
Because Braga's doing the same thing. Like, there's a scene where, like, Dwight's like, Dwight never did meth, and then the next scene is them at the Top Golf or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Braga says, like, Braga wouldn't do that. Braga's a man of thing. And it's like they pair them so closely that it's trying to, like, tell you that he is Braga before you know he's Braga.
I like that.
Yeah, that's like one of the Rachel and I were
cool.
watching it last night, and that was like the first time I picked up on that.
I could have done without the scene where Dwight is just going to town on some woman's foot.
I don't know if he's shooting a music video or like a porn or just like filming girls like not naked. They're just like, I guess, like kind of making out with each other. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but it's a very... Dwight is an interesting character. Like, bring back Dwight.
Yeah.
He needs a spin-off.
Yeah. The Dwight and the Furious.
The three girls in the club where you've got one just making out with one and then going to the second, making out with her for a little bit, and I think Brian walks past and has a little smile to himself about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bring those back.
Well, I mean, Braga says, whatever you want, booze, broads, all good. It's like, it's all fair game or whatever. So, this kind of feels like, in a way, like the Merovingians club from the Matrix Revolutions, where just like, it's literally, it's sin. Just whatever you want to do, feel free, go for it. Drink a Corona, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, they're all going to be dead soon if Braga's plan goes forward.
Yeah,
exactly.
But did you like this movie on the whole, or did you like? I know where it sort of falls in your rankings, but did you enjoy watching it, or is this the kind of like
you don't have to hold back because like Chris really ripped into fucking Tokyo Drift last time, so don't feel like you'll offend us or make us sad or anything.
I really struggled with the beginning of the film.
Okay.
Where I was just sitting there and I was like, this is not interesting me at all. But I will admit that by the end, where it had started to get a little bit more like the fact that they're street racing through a tunnel that's full of TNT for no reason, like I started to be like, okay, I see why people watch these films. It's pretty good.
So you're on board with the wacky action.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, they're gonna get so much better. You're gonna like 5 through 8 way more than.
Maybe I should carry on watching.
You
them.
Really should. I've been saying this
If
for so long.
you're saying like this is the part that you liked, then you're firmly in the camp that once you get to like 5 and 6, they're just gonna be so much fun for you. I promise.
Because like even if you look at like Metacritic rankings, like I don't know them off the top of my head, but I feel like 5 especially and 6 kind of are like well reviewed. Like they finally like people are like, oh, this movie knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like it's like these are the kind of action movies you want to watch. So absolutely keep going.
And I feel like 7 is kind of hard to rate because of all of the stuff that kind of went on outside
Behind
of the
the
film.
scenes.
Yeah, it's such a touching film in a way that you wouldn't expect from this series if you maybe didn't know like the backstory of what had happened.
Right. And it is it definitely tugs at the heartstrings, and then like the montage at the very end, like the flashbacks to the character of Brian, and also just like really just like flashing back to like Paul Walker's life. It's just like, oh boy, like I'm getting chills now thinking about like it just like I'm gonna cry every time I see the end of that movie because
they know the thing is you can feel it in that movie that Paul Walker had died, and they know he died, and they're treating the movie like an homage to him. So like it definitely feels much heavier than the rest of them for sure.
And Liam, you enjoyed this movie, right? Like this is
yeah, of course. I super enjoyed it. I think
Yeah.
the thing that I kind of maybe noticed most this time is now that I've seen them all and sort of going back, it does feel like you're sort of revisiting family and spending time with family, and when they're doing their own little sort of quirky things that, you know, that's so Brian, it's just it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. You pick up on like the nuanced things of like their acting style characters in the movies. You're like, oh yeah, like Brian punches that dude in the police station. That's so Brian.
And doesn't get in trouble for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He punches another cop. Again, he's the shittiest cop ever.
Well, he slams the cop's head against the wall multiple times, and then that cop gets in trouble for bleeding on the floor.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh god.
That's so Brian.
It's when Brian goes, but he started it. And you're like, Brian, you just, like, beat his face in.
Also, this is the FBI, not kindergarten.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is in 3rd grade. Yeah, you're like,
And this is also like, it's kind of the opposite of the NFL, right? Because like Joe, like in football, if I push you and then you push me back, you'll get the flag for it because like the refs might not see the first thing.
Yeah,
you escalate it. Here, it's just like, well, yeah, I started it, but then he beat my head against the wall and I'm getting in trouble. Like, what is happening?
But okay, I guess if you're like a good FBI agent, you shouldn't have let another officer get the upper hand like that, especially if you start it.
They're not ninjas, Liam.
Maybe they should be.
I think you're misunderstanding what the FBI is.
Or is this just the beginning of like how every character in the franchise becomes the best driver and marksman and stunt guy and like whatever?
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Is this the beginning of, you should be good at all things and don't let buster cops bash your head against the wall like it's your fault for like screwing up there?
So Ellie, that's what slowly begins to happen is that everybody becomes like top tier of whatever their little job is of the crew. So like Tej goes from being a mechanic to being like the greatest hacker in the world.
In the second movie, Tej says, I don't drive anymore because I slammed my car into a wall doing 110. And then, like 4 movies later, he's like, he's
professional
great at
stunt
everything.
driver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like continuity matters, but also it also can be and is sacrificed for like the greater good.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this cemetery, and I want to know where the cemetery is, and can we go visit it? Because I need to see Letty's fake grave.
It's probably in California, I think, right?
Yeah, that's why I sent a message to Joey last night, and I was like, we need to do the definitive California Fast and Furious tour. Like, we need to go and hit Dom's Cafe, the garage, like, all of these scenes, but, like, the cemetery's way up there on my list. Like, we need to go, leave a flower on Letty's grave.
We need, like, Atlas Obscura for, like, only Fast and Furious.
Yes, exactly. Maybe we could start, like, our own, like, tour.
Fastless Obscura?
Cool? Like, no, but I mean, like, we could do, like, our own bus tour. Like, you know how they do, like, the famous people houses in California? Like, what if we started our own and it would be like, here's Dom's garage, and, like, here's the... I'm sure that we could convince people to, like, pay us to, like, take them on the tour of this, right?
Well, we know that Wes went to the restaurant from the first one. They also went to Toretto's Cafe, right? Or the garage or whatever.
I'm saying we could piece together a lot of these, though. There's, like, a lot of, like, distinguishing places in these movies.
And then there's, like, the Platinum Tour, where we also bring you to Rio, and we bring you to, wherever. Like, we're making crazy money on that. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. We start local and think global.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like the family.
Just like the family.
One day, and then we become international spies, and we hack into Interpol, and... Yeah.
Like, this whole movie, for the most part, takes place in Southern California, right? Like, Southern California and Mexico. Like, that's...
Yeah.
I don't think that they don't really pay too much attention to place in this, which is kind of unusual, I think, because every other movie is so different. Like, the first one is very clearly Southern California, and the second one's so clearly Miami.
Yes.
The third one's so clearly Tokyo, and then Rio, and then London, and then, all... Like, every movie has such a distinct sense of place, and this doesn't. I mean, there's Mexico, but like not really. Like, they're barely in Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, they just cross into Mexico because that's where the shit happens.
Mexico is like such a minor part of this film in terms of like them being in there. The first time they go to Mexico, they go there and then immediately drive out of Mexico.
To be honest, that's what a lot of people do. So.
Like, there is that, the joke or the cliche or whatever that, like, in Sex and the City, like, New York is the 5th character or whatever, but, like, Mexico is not the 5th character here. Like, it is very low on the call sheet.
It's Mexico. An uncredited extra.
Yeah, featured background character. Any other thoughts about Fast and Furious number 4?
I had a really touching moment in this film that made me sniffle a little bit, and that's when they say, like, Brian's going to be the racer in the Braga race, and she like pulls up the cars, and he goes, "Oh, I'll take one of those," I crashed one of those, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like it was like a little foreshadowing of like real life, you know.
But he wasn't driving, right? He was being driven when he died, right?
I think he might have been the passenger. Now that
think
you
he
say
was
that.
the passenger.
I was looking today, and he was the passenger apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he crashes cars in 7, like in 6 and 7, like just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ellie, any other thoughts about Fast and Furious 4? There's other stuff that we're going to do. We have a game that we're going to play. There's actually 2 games we're going to play, so we're not done yet. But any other thoughts about the movie before we move on?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered most of the thoughts I had while watching it.
And overall, though, you enjoyed the movie. You enjoyed at least the end where the movie wound up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it genuinely, after watching it and then talking to you guys about it, I do feel like I am going to continue watching Fast and the Furious.
If you do,
Good.
let us know, because I'm excited.
Yeah, we want to have you back on for a later movie that is more in your wheelhouse. So, in a future lap, we'll welcome you and Liam back to talk about, 5,
whatever
6, 7,
one's your
8,
favorite
whatever. Yep,
of
exactly.
those ones. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I noticed that one of the cars had TVs as headlights in this
Really?
movie. Yeah,
Really?
it's a quick scene.
At what point?
When they're like right before, like when they're like walking into like the Braga warehouse party. There's like they show a car and like you catch like the front end of the car, and instead of it having headlights, it has TVs, and it's on something that's like kind of white, like you know what I mean. Whatever's showing is kind of bright, so you can't really notice it. But I rewound it and was like, oh yeah, that car definitely just has TVs as headlights. So.
I think this is the
did
funny
not
thing that,
notice
this
that.
is how you and I watch these movies so differently. Like, this is the second time in a row. I remember, like, you noticed a G4 sticker last time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just straight up not looking at the cars in these movies. Like, it's just like, I don't care. I'm looking at the actors, I'm looking at whatever else, but you're, like, intently looking at the cars, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, because and Gal Gadot has her Porsche, the Cayman that she has a really weird front badge on it, and I haven't looked up like what it is, but she doesn't have a Porsche logo on the front of the car. It has something else, and I need to figure out what that is. Yeah, I noticed it because I like saw it driving. I was like, what the fuck is on this front of this car? And like you can't see it clear enough to make out what it is, but I'm sure somebody online knows what it is. So,
But it's
I'll figure it
definitively a
out eventually.
Porsche.
Yeah, it's definitely a Porsche, but
Okay.
it doesn't have a Porsche logo on the front. So.
Liam, any other thoughts about Fast and Furious number 4?
I've got a couple. I don't know what it is about these films, but they sort of like make me regress to this sort of like Neanderthal caveman-like state in some aspects, because I was watching this alone last night. Kat was out. I think it's the scene where they first get to the club or somewhere. There's a tracking shot, and there's a nice lady walking, and I said out loud to my
in the green, or sorry, the
Yeah.
gold, in the gold. Yeah, I know
exactly, and I just said out loud to myself, like, "Cool, look at that arse," in like the most like just stereotypical like thuggish sort of way, and then I sort of like thought to myself, that doesn't sound like you. Like, I don't know what these films do to me.
They're hypersexualized, and we've talked about this, but it's not like they don't showcase men too, because like Brian and like Dom are always like shirtless, and like Roman shirtless, so it's just hypersexualized.
Are there any shirtless men in this one?
No,
No, and so this was a thing I've long talked about, that it's equal, and then when Isla was on the first episode, she pointed out that it's not quite equal, that they're, the male characters have agency, and there's, as opposed to just like objects, which is... But yeah, this movie, I think, in terms of just taking that part out of the equation for now, which I know is difficult to do, it's still even incredibly lost. Like, I don't think that there's any shirtless...
this is Gal Gadot's movie, like her not wearing a bra the whole time, like that's it's her.
I think I read somewhere this was her first ever like screen introduction.
Yes.
Ooh.
So it was all downhill from here for her, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, she's had nothing else of any kind of success, right?
Exactly. One thing I tend to do after watching a film is just go on the IMDb trivia.
Be careful. We have not looked too deeply here. These might be spoilers for us, but hit us with what you got.
Give us one.
All
Yeah.
right, well, there's one I don't know if you've just picked up on watching this, okay?
Okay.
It says, Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, used to be blonde, yet Paul Walker switched from natural blonde to brunette in real life after a film called Timeline. The script for this film offers no explanation as to why Brian is a brunette now. Paul Walker was a brunette since 2004. And I wondered if you both had any sort of theories as to why the switch might have happened within the canon of these films.
I think that in the first one, he had like the frosted blonde
undercover?
hair.
Yeah.
Because he was undercover. Yes, exactly.
Perfect.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that naturally, like the film doesn't explain it, but that's the logic that they would use is like, then he became part of the FBI, so he's like not undercover anymore. And he doesn't have to dye his hair.
I mean, what I can also think is new look, new you. I mean, he's been a cop, now he's an FBI agent. He wants to,
Why not? Yeah, that makes sense. I could buy that.
Pretty much, yeah, that works.
Like, I never actually thought about it, but I think, I could definitely see the Frosted Tips being an undercover, because, like, you're not going to be a cop that looks like, I guess you could be, but, like, that's definitely a, hey, like, let me fit in, that's me as Keanu in Point Break, like, whatever. Exactly.
Is he still undercover in 2?
No.
But he's working for
Kind of.
a cop in my. I mean, yeah, he is undercover, but he's not betraying anybody. He's not betraying anybody that we like. He's betraying criminals.
In 2, the blonde still makes sense then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because he needs to be a street racer, but he's also a cop trying to, like, work back to get his copness back. Remember? He's, like, trying to get his badge and his gun back.
Right.
And Eva Mendes is the real one who's undercover.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Much like Stella, how she got her groove back. Cool. Okay, so now we have my favorite game on the show. There's a quiz on Zimbio.com.
Are you going to do both of them at the same time?
Yes, I am.
Are you going to open up 2?
I have 2 browsers open. Which
Okay, good,
Fast
good.
and Furious character
This
are
is my
you?
favorite. I'm so excited for you guys to play this. I found this quiz that is like a Teen Vogue quiz of which Fast and the Furious character you are, and you guys just answer, and we'll see what you get. And I try to guess which character you get.
I'm genuinely worried, because if I get a better character than Liam, I think he might just end our podcast.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right.
And we don't know. We also don't know any of the options. So like we like get them sometimes, and we're just like you could tell that like some characters are gonna be whatever, but we don't know what the options are in this, or like when this was made or anything. So it could be anything.
Yeah. And so far, I got Brian, Joe got Mia, our guest on the second episode got Roman, and our guest last episode got Dom. So we've gotten 4 different characters. I know for a fact that you can get The Rock, you can get Hobbs.
That's the one I want.
Actively tried to, and I got it.
Yeah.
But again, we don't know how many there's got. There's probably got to be a Letty, but we don't know. We're waiting sort of for more characters, but we're also waiting for our first duplicate. So maybe, I mean, we got 2 going today, so we might get our first. We'll see.
So answer them as honestly as you can.
Okay, cool.
Here's another like little, because you are both doing this, if one of you answers a question in a way that the other knows is absolute bullshit, I want you to call them out on it.
I mean, that's what I was going to ask. Should we be answering for each other?
Well, no, you don't answer for each other because you don't know what. What, Liam?
I know you pretty well.
No, you don't, Liam. You
Bullshit.
make up a lot of stuff about me.
And it's normally true.
All right. Here we go. So there's 13 questions. So I hope. I mean, we're off to a great start already with like this
I'm
confrontation.
so excited for this. Okay.
All right. First things first. How fast do you like to go? NASCAR, roller coaster, Vespa. Liam,
Vespa.
Ellie.
Roller coaster.
Okay.
Second thing second. How furious are you? Hulk, Sam Kinison, Furious Styles. Which I've learned from the last time. Furious Styles is from Boys in the Hood. And Sam Kinison is, a comedian.
So which one's the least furious?
I think probably Furious Style. I don't know. Some of these questions, again, it's an internet quiz. I don't know what means what.
Or who made this or anything about them. Yeah.
Hulk, Sam Kinison, Furious Styles.
If we're saying Furious Styles is the least furious, then I'm going with that one.
Okay.
I don't think I'm Hulk, so I'll
Bullshit.
take the...
You had like anger
fine, I'll go
issues
Hulk.
at school and stuff.
I am very angry.
Yeah. Just listen to
All right,
any of
Hulk.
our episodes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hulk.
true.
Okay, there we go. Who would you risk your life for? Family, friends, anyone, no one.
No one.
Ellie?
Friends.
Choose a one-liner. Why don't you just pack it up before I leave tread marks on your face? I'm a boy who appreciates a good body regardless of the make, which is from this movie.
Yeah, from this movie. Yeah.
When are you going to give Martin Luther King his car back? He's like gravity. Everything just gets pulled to him. There's never nothing. There's always something. Ride or die.
The one from this movie.
I'm a boy who appreciates a good body regardless of the make.
Hell yeah.
And Ellie?
I wish I could tell you that Liam was lying about his answers, but he isn't. That first one, the leave the tread marks on the face.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Someone you have a crush on is standing over there. What will you do? Nothing. Let them come to me. I'm going over there. Stand here and stare at them. I'm out of here.
Stand here and stare at them. Which Ellie has seen me
same.
do.
Yeah.
And Ellie, what would you do? How would you react?
The same as Liam. I'm a stand here and stare.
Cool. This one has a visual component. So I'm going to take a picture of this and put it in the Discord chat, so I hope you can see this. Choose your ride. 2010 Alfa Romeo Giulietta, 2009 Dodge Challenger SRT8, Plymouth Roadrunner, Gurkha LAPV, 2010 Koenigsegg CCXR. Liam, which is your ride? Choose your ride.
It will be the 2009 Dodge Challenger.
SRT8.
That's it.
And Ellie?
Yeah, I'm the same. The Dodge Challenger.
Very cool. Oh, I don't have ad block on Chrome, so I have to wait for this ad to play, so hold on. We've never run into this problem before, because I've never had a two-browser thing before. Which of these opposites do you tend towards? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Ellie?
Positive?
Liam, do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think it is, annoyingly. Like, Ellie thinks she's this, like, child of the world and everyone should be given, like, a second chance and you should always assume the best out of people. And I'm like, no, everyone sucks.
This is very telling, given the confrontation we've had so far. Next question. How do you feel about lying? I'm a big liar. I lie sometimes, no big deal. If I do lie, I feel bad about it forever. Call me Honest Abe.
I lie sometimes, NBD.
Ellie?
The one where you feel bad. Maybe not forever, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but...
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you say goodbye to someone you love? Remember them every day? Turn your back and walk away? Pour your 40 out? You don't.
Jesus Christ.
Appropriate reaction. Liam?
I pull my 40 out.
Okay. Ellie?
The first one, remember them every day.
Okay.
It's like, I like those answers. It's like, remember them every day or just like, fuck that person. You know what I mean? There's no like middle ground where it's like, remember them fondly for a little bit and then probably forget about them.
All right, the next one also has a visual component. I put it in here. The pictures don't necessarily line up. Choose an action hero. John Kimball, who is from Kindergarten Cop, which that picture is very much not from. John Matrix from Commando. James Carter, who is from, I want to say Beverly Hills Cop or Rush Hour, maybe?
Yeah.
Nikita from La Femme Nikita. John Rambo or Hercules, the Rock Hercules. So, Liam, choose an action hero.
Is this who we think we are or who we want to be?
No, it's
No
just
idea.
choose an action hero.
I'm going with Hercules because I love his lion hat thing.
Okay. And Ellie?
I'll go John Rambo.
Okay. What's your favorite article of clothing? My dark jeans, my favorite wife beater, my too tight t-shirts, my old sneakers, my leather jacket. Liam?
I think it's probably going to have to be dark jeans.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
What would you think?
It's his old wife beater. Because he has this horrible, horrible vest wife beater thing that he wears, and it was his favourite thing for years, so he's definitely lying.
It had Jesus on it, and underneath it said "Got Christ" in the "Got Milk" font.
I love it.
Okay.
And Ellie, what's your favorite article of clothing from that list? I can repeat it if you need it.
The old... No, it's the
sneakers?
old trainers one.
It's our anniversary. What are we doing? Candlelit dinner for two somewhere dark? Let's just go somewhere dark. Let's drive. I guess this is a question like, Liam, how would you answer this? And also, what would you actually do with Kat?
Yeah, I think a candlelit dinner somewhere, that's pretty low effort, isn't it? Just book a table at a restaurant.
I think that's the most effort out of all three of them, right?
Well,
Maybe.
Yeah, but I can't just go somewhere dark, can I? Because I'd be
I don't
shit
know
at
what that
it.
means. Is that implying just a bit of the old naughty times?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I never thought about it until you just said that. I just thought that it was just like go brood somewhere.
I thought it was,
Yeah.
like we've talked about how we want 9 to end, Joe, where it's just Dom and Letty laying on the hood of a car somewhere looking up at the stars.
That's
see
what
the
I
outline of
imagined.
Paul Walker in the constellation. Eye
Yeah.
twinkles and they go to space for 10. So, I mean, like, that's how I picture it. Like, they're just going somewhere. Like, they drive somewhere, but, like, it's not about the drive. It's about the destination.
Got you.
Yeah.
Again, no idea. But that's just how I view it.
No, I
Ellie,
still think it's the
what are
candlelit
we
dinner.
doing? Candlelit dinner, go somewhere darker, let's drive.
I'd be the candlelit dinner as well.
Okay.
Okay.
And the last one, we have one more visual component. If you were going to have your photo taken, what would the background be? Desert, blue sky, garage, city lights, an explosion. Liam?
An explosion, definitely.
Okay. And Ellie.
Desert?
Oh, interesting. I don't think anybody's picked desert yet. I haven't.
I'd like to go to the desert. It's a good excuse, I need to have my photo taken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's nicely symbolic of your love life.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Joe, do you have guesses for who either of them are?
No, I couldn't keep it straight. Like, it's much harder with two. There was
It
two
is.
sets of answers, so I couldn't. I don't know.
It's simple. We're both Dom.
They're both duplicates.
Of different people or the same person?
They're different people, but they are people we've both had. Liam, like Brian, is a Roman. So
Oh, fuck.
Liam, cocky and confident. You love to hear yourself talk. Check. But you've got them all fooled. It's just a ruse so people underestimate you. You trust people too much sometimes, but you rely on your smarts and bravery to save you. Plus, You drive like the wind blows.
This quiz is rigged.
Ellie is Mia, just like me.
Oh.
No, Joe too is Mia. Sorry, I'm a Brian.
I got a Mia
forgot.
too.
Smart and independent, you make your own decisions despite what the crowd thinks, but you've got a soft spot for the people you love. That can get you into trouble sometimes. You're a hopeless romantic, and it takes time to gain your trust. Plus, again, same thing, you drive like the wind blows.
I wonder if everyone drives like the wind blows.
Maybe.
Do they all end with you drive like the wind
I don't
blows?
think
'Cause
so.
That's amazing.
But maybe.
I think we would have remembered it if it did.
Very possible.
Maybe not. Okay.
Again, like I know that there is a Hobbs, there's the Rock, there's got to be a Letty, but I want to know more. That's why I want to keep grilling people. I want to keep quizzing people. We can also, Joe, we have not talked about when we have repeat guests. Are we going to do it again? I don't know. Maybe we'll do Mike at the beginning and the end of his lap. I don't know, but here we go. Okay,
knows?
we have one more game on this podcast,
Which is my favorite game.
it's something called This Ain't No 10-Second Race, aka Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You. So now, I don't know if either of you have seen this, but what we do, all four of us are going to find a tweet on Twitter about anything. Be anything on Twitter. And we are going to reply to it with the tweet that says, from the Cage Club Podcast Network Twitter, boy, do we have a podcast for you. Link to our show page, hashtag 2Fast2Forever, hashtag 2F2F, hashtag Fast and Furious.
So we send out a tweet in response to any tweet you want to find. It could reference Fast and the Furious. It could reference a character. We usually, we've tried everything. It doesn't seem to matter. We haven't found a good technique yet. So just pick a tweet of someone you want to annoy, and that would hopefully respond. Because
And
you
there
get
is
points
scoring.
by... Yeah, there's scoring. Go ahead.
Oh,
So
I
here's the
see.
scoring. So if they like the tweet, it's 1 point. If they retweet it, it's 2. If they reply, it's 5. And if they email us, it's 10. So now, first up, we're going to do Chris, because Chris, unfortunately... Oh, wait, hold on. Who did this? Who liked this? Interesting. So, Chris, from our last episode, our guest, Chris Podcasts, found a tweet by President Donald J. Trump going to New York. We'll be with Prime Minister Abe of Japan tonight talking military and trade. We have done much to help Japan. Would like to see more of a reciprocal relationship. It will all work out. Boy, Mr. President, do we have a podcast for you. Believe it or not, Donald Trump did not like the tweet. However, some random person named Ryan Howard, not the former Philadelphia Philly, but some other Ryan Howard, liked the tweet. So, Chris gets a point.
Yep, 1 point for Chris. Good job. And this ain't no 10-second race because we keep track of points forever. We'll keep track of your points. Whenever you come back, we could tell you what your score was from the last one, and you can add another one. So that's why it keeps
So now
going.
so this guy, Senpai Mikey, said, I have my third speech tomorrow, LMAO. I have to inform the audience about Tokyo. Wish me luck, my homies. And then I replied to this guy, RC Saldana, who said, put on Tokyo Drift and say you're welcome. Crying, laughing emoji, and a gif of a Tokyo Drift. And I said, boy, do we have a podcast for you. I also got one like, RC Saldana, the actual person. So here's a question, Joe, and I don't want to just give myself more points here, but like, should it be worth more if the person we're tweeting to liked it as opposed to just a random person?
No,
Or no?
1 point.
Okay.
1 point.
So I got 1 point there. So that's my first point. We are 14 episodes, or this is episode
And
15.
Joey has 1.
Of
The
one-
total
Wow.
is 1 so far.
Joey, you're picking the wrong people.
Apparently.
We don't know what the right people are either, so it's...
So then here, so this is where...
Oh, you didn't tell them about me yet, that I have a knack for picking accounts that get suspended forever
Joe has
from
picked
Twitter.
twice that's gotten suspended, and one time, or maybe it wasn't the third time, maybe somebody else did, one where they tweeted at somebody who then became private. This game doesn't always have winners. It's more losing than winners. Joe picked someone, this is the weirdest tweet. This is something that Joe and I had no idea. It was a meme, apparently, but Chris explained it to us. Get 2 jars of rice, put 1 jar in front of a TV playing the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and use the other car to fucking come in. Approximately 30 days later, 1 jar of rice will be fucking covered in cum, and the other will still not know how to drive because it's fucking rice. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. So then, no likes, no retweets. However, 2-star Yelp review at xmangojuice replied, said, man, did you even read the tweet? So she gets 5 points there, so she's up to 7. Then I'm going to jockey for points here. I then replied and said, yes, we read the tweet. Bring your jar of rice. It might like the podcast too. And that got 5 likes. So I'm going to give myself 5 points on that one.
Okay. we had to split. We had to split those because I started it.
No, because if
I'll
we
take
split them,
half,
I
I'll
don't gain
give
any
you
ground.
half. That's exactly.
I will take 4 points, because I didn't crowdsource that with you. I will give you one of the 5 points.
It should be 60-40 at least.
Fine, I'll give you 2 points, and I'll take 3.
That's fair. Okay.
So after 13 rounds, or however many times we've played this, Joe has 9, I have 4, Chris Podcast has 1, nobody else has any points.
Okay. I got mine for today.
So
Can I
while
go
we
first?
do this one, Liam and Ellie, if you have not started already, look on Twitter. We're sending them all from the same account, at Cage Club Pod Twitter account. Once you find a tweet, just put it in the Discord chat. Joe found his from at Vin D's.
At Vin Diesel. It's at Vin Dies.
Vin Dies.
167028847. And it's a person that is apparently a Vin Diesel fan and tagged Vin Diesel and said, Dom and Letty, all love. That's the tweet that I want to... Boy, do we have a podcast for them. Seriously.
All right.
Okay, I'm hoping that one works out well. I think that's a good
Boy,
shot.
do we have a podcast for you. Vin Diesel, Dom and Letty, all love.
Oh my god, Liam.
All right, so
Liam, do you want to read yours?
I'd love to. So my tweet is from at Harley Quinn, it seems.
Sure.
The tweet is, learning about sex by watching porn is like learning how to drive by watching Fast and Furious.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. This tweet from April. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
We have no idea.
But that tweet had a lot of traction in April.
Did have a lot of traction.
Yeah. We tried ones with traction. Sometimes that doesn't work. We've tried ones without. Old ones and new ones. Who the fuck knows?
This is a great one, Ellie. Ellie found, I just got my new truck back. I named that sexy bit Iguana. Team Unique did a great job. So I like that this combines cars and iguanas.
And it's Jason
Exactly.
Derulo. Is this the real Jason
And
Derulo?
it is Jason Derulo,
Yeah,
yep.
it
Oh,
is, yeah.
fuck. Oh, my God. I've seen
Boy.
Jason Derulo live before.
Do we have a podcast for you? So now, Fast and Furious. I need to
Imagine
find
if
a
we start
tweet.
getting emails from Jason Derulo about yeah, that Iguana episode was dope. And that's just it. Jason Derulo. He signs it with his voice. It's like an audio note at the end of the message.
Here's one I found. This one is pretty good. It's brand new. Again, I don't know if this is a great one or not, but at Mighty Jack Young, Hellhound on Twitter, somebody quote tweeted a 14 years ago today, GTA San Andreas released, and he said, "This ludicrous in Fast and Furious 7. Boy, do we have a podcast for you." I just that is the kind of thing where you see something, right? Like you see something wholly and completely unconnected to the Fastiverse, and your brain just goes, "Oh, that's Tej." You know what I mean? That is really truly our type of fan.
I agree.
Any last thoughts, Ellie or Liam? Anything that we have not talked about that you want to make sure we cover before we close up shop for today?
I can't think of anything. I think we've been pretty thorough with Fast. Although, do we need to talk about? I know Ellie was moaning to me last night about the title of this film.
Okay.
It's weird that it's gone from The Fast and the Furious, and then this film doesn't have a number and it's just Fast and Furious, and that confused me and annoyed me.
Rachel said she wanted it to be named The Fast and the Furious.
Love it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I 100% agree, and I can't believe they didn't do it.
Yeah, she was like, which one is it? And she had to go through my playlist of them and be like, oh, she had to count them because she was like, the names don't make sense. So
Yeah.
I think it just is because it's hey, this is a
reboot.
reboot. Yes.
Is it an official reboot, or is it like a soft?
It's
sort
a
of-
soft. It's like a reset as opposed to a reboot.
Okay.
Yeah, although you could sort of go down the Too Fast, Too Furious line and put the number 4 in there somewhere. So have Fast
That was the joke,
Forever.
That was the joke.
Don't worry. Yeah, this is what I have to deal with, guys.
That should be. You should rebrand Nerd on Nerd just called "That Was the Joke," Liam. And it's just, nothing changes. It's just the same show it is now, but,
Yeah.
what I can only imagine is the most common thing you say on that show. That was the joke, Liam. Well, thank you both for...
I'm glad you guys came on. I
joining
hope
us.
that you had fun.
Yeah,
I had a
yeah,
lot
I
of
did.
fun having both of you on. So
Yeah.
We'd love to have
Thanks
you
for
back on the
having
Future
us.
Lap, talk about a movie later in the series that Joe and Liam and I love and that Ellie has not seen yet, but will soon love as well.
Hopefully.
I feel pretty confident in saying that she will.
I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I'm pretty confident too.
But yeah, so thanks so much for joining us. Why don't you talk about your show? Talk about Nerd on Nerd a little bit.
Me and Liam host a show called Nerd on Nerd, where we chat about we tell each other a film or a video game that we have to play and
Or a
just chat
comic.
about it. That's sort of a lie though, because it's really just an hour of us just titting about and then an hour of us talking about something. Yeah, arguing. Go listen to it. Just go listen to it.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Listen to Nerd on Nerd.
And I know that there has been some scheduling issues lately, but it normally comes out every week, correct?
Every other week.
Every other week.
Every other week. Well, that shows how much I know about your show, and I apologize for not being more researched. But go check out Nerd on Nerd if you want to cross the pond and do an international podcast. Nerd on Nerd out of the UK. Highly recommended. And also, we were on an episode a long time ago. What did we talk about? Was it Zac Efron?
Yeah, we talked about what was it? The Friends one, where he's a DJ.
We are your friends.
Yes.
Yeah. We need to get you guys back on at some point soon, hopefully.
We would love to do it.
Yeah, we're down.
Ooh, here's an idea. We do a crossover, sort of like we did for Zack Attack, where we talk about one of these movies on your show.
Love it. Yeah, that's going to force Ellie to watch more of them as well. So perfect.
I'm gonna watch them.
Well,
like
now you
have
have
sound
to.
like she's not into it. You know what I mean? Like, there's been nothing but agreements from Ellie. Like, just, I will watch these, and Liam's like, no, like, never gonna happen.
I've spent the last 3 years telling her to watch these, and she just keeps fobbing me off.
Yeah, but I don't trust you, Liam.
I think that's very clear.
I trust Joe and Joey.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you both for joining us. And remember, listeners, we are now going to every other week, just like Nerd on Nerd, every other Tuesday. So Fast 5 will come out in 5 days on November 6th. Go check that out. And then, Joe, I was thinking about today that we don't have a plan for lap 4. We've got to figure out what lap 4 is. Lap 3 is going to be the ride along. I don't know if lap 4 is going to be...
I want to do a lap completely on Whippets the whole time.
That's not yet. That's way too soon. That is way too soon.
It's the NAS lap. It'll
know.
be boosted.
Quick question. When a new one comes out, do you have to watch it a bunch so you've watched each one the same number of times, or does it just slip
I think
in?
we're going to cut it in.
Okay.
We'll cut it in. We'll probably do a bonus special edition. Hobbs and Shaw is out. We're going to go do this now, and then we'll just we'll add it into our rotation whenever that it falls in. But yeah.
And this is just going on forever.
It's going on
forever and ever.
I love it.
Eventually, we're going to cut in pit stops, bonus laps where we just talk about the movies of Paul Walker or car movies or whatever, any number of possibilities there. But for now, all Fast and Furious all the time,
every 2 weeks,
ad nauseum, on repeat every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How long do you guys think it will be until that starts becoming difficult?
We don't know. We really don't, and that's a point that we're trying to figure out when it's going to happen. But I'm nowhere near the end yet. I'm not worn out yet, so.
Well, this is episode 15. I hope you're nowhere near the end yet. We're very close to the beginning.
I know.
We haven't even finished lap 2. Because one thing that we've heard, Liam, is that we've had people write in who have listened to other shows that were similar to this or very similar to this. They all got burnt out, or even from the beginning, they seem to be kind of negative toward it, and so.
No, but we have different laps and different goals for each lap.
Yeah.
So, 4 we could do the extended editions and stuff.
I was thinking of that, the bonus features lap of sorts, and then just have guests on whenever we want to have guests on there. Yeah, so thank you. Check out Nerd on Nerd. Check out all the other shows here on the Cage Club Podcast Network. Check out, Zack Attack. Liam was on our Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure 2 episode.
Which was classic.
An episode where Zac Efron is... No, wait. No. He was on Sharpay 1.
Yes, and that's when we found the fan fiction. Yeah.
Yes, which is when we found the fan fiction. A movie in which Zac Efron is not in. So he's on the Zac Efron podcast. And then Liam was also on our Step Up 2 episode for Magic Mike's, a movie in which Channing Tatum is on screen for about 3 minutes. So we've had on 2 podcasts to talk about 2 different dudes who have been on screen combined 3 minutes in those movies.
Yes.
So.
But then I did go on to watch the other Step Up films and found a new love of my life, so I guess I have to thank you guys for that.
Have you watched the other Step Up movies yet? Have you followed in those footsteps?
No.
So, Liam, next birthday, Fast and Furious. Birthday after that, Step Up.
Cool. Sounds like a plan.
And then just, berate your friends into watching your favorite films. That is, sounds like...
He does that anyway.
There you go. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, and all of our other shows, you can go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/cageclub, or at cageclubpod on Twitter and Instagram. Find our Facebook page, facebook.com/toofasttooforever. You can now listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, as well as cageclub.me and anywhere else you probably find your podcast. If whatever your preferred podcast catcher does not have our show, let us know. Email family@cageclub.me. And I'll try to get it on there. Email family@cageclub.me. Just say hi. Give us your rankings if you're a new listener. Give us your thoughts on the episodes and the movies. Just, we will read whatever you say on air.
He reads anything.
I will read anything. So thank you again for listening, and we'll see you in 5 short days for Fast 5. Ooh, Fast 5 and 5. You know what I mean, Joe?
Oh, 5 and 5? Yeah, I like it. 2 and 2? 2
On
and Lou?
Joe Tuesday. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe 2.
And that was Liam and Ellie of the Nerd on Nerd podcast, and we will see you next time right here on Too Fast, Too Forever.
Beat that ass, slash the teeth, she got a big